Hi everyone, this is Brent here from Production Expert, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Smart Reverb, a brand new plugin from Sonible. In the past few years we've seen AI and smart plugin technology come a long way with brands such as Sonible, Sound Theory, Oak Sound and Isotope to name just a few. But Smart Reverb is the first in its class. Now in today's video I'm going to be running you through some of the features and the interface of the plugin, and we're going to be playing some different input source material so you can hear how this sounds with different instrument categories. Now the plugin is laid out in a really nice interface which is also resizable, and that'll adjust when you open and close the plugin. It'll resize to how you left it. And if we just run through the different areas of the plugin here, it's feature full but it's also really easy to understand, I think. And with the Smart Reverb plugin it works by arming the plugin with the incoming source material, and then it makes a reverb decision based on that, and it creates a new reverb scratch profile each time. So when you arm the plugin you can pick from a range of different categories. Then we have this matrix part here which sort of does away with presets, as we use this to actually more intuitively decide how we want things to sound. And then below here we have a width control which adjusts our stereo field, the color which is sort of like a brightness control, so if we dial this down the reverb's going to be darker and vice versa, it's going to be brighter. And the clarity makes the reverb seem more transparent, so this does a really good job of unmasking the signal that gets input into Smart Reverb. Below here we have time-based controls such as the reverb decay time, pre-delay and a dry and wet control. And then here are our main sort of scopes. So this is our particle display, and this shows how the reverb is decaying over time, frequency dependent. So we could see actually the reverb particles are already moving even though we haven't put any incoming source material, and you'll see how they adjust when we do so. Below here we have the spectral shaper which controls the decay, the spread and the density. And then finally below here we have some creative effects such as freeze, infinite, and also an inbuilt EQ which we can use to globally adjust the reverb. Now if we start with this vocal here, I have a dry vocal. I'm thinking about all I know. And I'm going to enable Smart Reverb. I'm going to arm it. I'm going to select vocals as this is a vocal track. So let's hear how that sounds. So vocals armed. I'm thinking about all I know. I'm thinking about where I'm gonna go, and I left everything all behind. Now if we just look at the matrix part, if we go over to intimate and natural, we're going to get a much closer and more intimate sound. So this would work really well for small room scenarios or some solo instruments. So let's hear how that sounds, and then I'll go about adjusting along the corresponding graph here. I'm thinking about all I know. I'm thinking about where I'm gonna go, and I left everything all behind. I'm thinking about what's my next move. I'm thinking about how I can improve. So as we can hear, the natural and intimate sound has a much more intimate and sort of solo vocal to it. It's a smaller space. If we move down to artificial, this is a little bit less emulative of a space, and it's actually more of a creative effect where it'll change the characteristic of the incoming audio. That would probably work really nicely on synths. I think natural and rich would work really nicely on sort of orchestral passages, and the same for maybe some really big vocal parts and choruses. But for now I'm just going to leave it sort of over here and see how I want to adjust it with the wet and dry control once it's in context with the rest of the track. Now with this incoming source material, let's have a look at the particle display here. So as we can see, I'm thinking about all I know. Most of our decay range is between 200 to 2K. Now if we adjust these little thumbs here, we can also adjust the slider with the lines. We can adjust how long the decay is going to last between each decay region. So if I do that and have a listen to how it changes. I'm thinking about all I know. Have a little bit less low end decay and a little bit less low mid.
and I've left everything all behind.
So that there is changing the actual reverb algorithm that the Smart Reverb has created. But again, this is completely personal still, because reverb is a creative decision. So we've changed that. I might increase the wet signal now and see how it sounds in context.
I'm thinking about all I know. I'm thinking about where I'm gonna go, and I've left everything.
I'm going to bring that band further forward now. And let's go over to the rich side.
I'm thinking about what's my next move. I'm thinking about
Now to me that sounds really nice. I'm liking the way I can shape the reverb, but I'm thinking there's a little bit too much low end, so I'm going to go down the global EQ and just back off all the way up to about 300. It's quite a long slope here, so I'm going to bring it a bit further forward, so sort of like mid 300, 400. And then if we bring that down, I'm going to start looking at the spectral shaper here. So the decay is where you can get quite creative with your decisions. So a natural decay would be if it's slowly sort of decayed over time like this gradually. And as we can see, that affects the particle display.
I'm thinking about all I know.
Now if I increase the decay, you'll see the particles increase as well.
I'm thinking about all I know.
So we've got a much longer decay.
Thinking about where I'm gonna go, and I've left everything.
There's decay at full. Now what about if I pull decay down at the start here?
I'm thinking about what's my next.
That means our decay is affecting the later part of the tail here, and as we can see, the particle display isn't shown as much here at the start as it's not kicking until further. So you've got a lot of control here over creative decisions, even though it's still a smart reverb. It's still a lot of control, and I love the way that this affects the particle display and we can sort of see what's happening. Let's hear how everything sounds now in context.
I'm thinking about all I know. I'm thinking about where I'm gonna go, and I've left everything all behind. I'm thinking about what's my next move. I'm thinking about how I can improve.
That's a really, really interesting plugin there, and I think that it could have a lot of involvement when it comes to mixing for a range of different scenarios for beginners, but also for advanced professionals, because this is a huge time-saving tool, as well as it's helping you get away from presets for beginners. So I hope that you got something out of this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.